FC26 is officially out and you need the best camera and controller settings available on the game right now. Are you in need of coins for FC26? U7Buy provides the safest, cheapest and most reliable place to get your coins in FC26. And you don't just have to take my word for it, plenty of big creators are using U7Buy. And if that's not enough for you, also go and check out the reviews, which they have over 40,000 of. And don't forget to use code VIPER at checkout to get 8% off every single order. Now guys, if you're enjoying the content, please let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I've played a lot of this game already, probably a bit too much. These are the best settings possible. Now there's going to be a few contentious points in here, but I'm going to explain them as best as I can. Let's go through the controller settings first. Now preset, if you play champs, rivals, draft, you want this on competitive. And also, this is the first contentious point. Time finishing has been removed, which I'm really sad about because I love time finishing. I really did. And it might actually be less of a skill gap now because of that. I've got it on assisted. And I know that's crazy because a lot of people like using precision. Now, I find that I want the ability to score my goals as often as possible as long as I get into the right position. With assisted, you get that. Sometimes if you have a bit of a stinker, precision will let you down. It will let you down at times. If you're under a lot of pressure, it's a sweaty game. If you have precision on, you might make a mistake. For me personally, assisted is better. And of course, you've got a lot of other ways to score now. So learning precision on this game, even though you might have had it on for FC25, might be a bit difficult. You've got power shots back in the game. You've got low driven power shots. You've got obviously the new Trivela style, which is all a lot to learn. So for right now, at the very least, unless there is a massive advantage to precision, I'm going to stick on assisted. I would recommend that for you as well. Of course, it's personal preference, but for me personally, I think assisted is better. Now for passing. Passing is pretty broken on this game, again, if I'm being honest. And there is one position in here where I think you could potentially change. And that is going to be pass receiver lock. I've tried this a lot already. Power up is not really the greatest. Late is what it was on last year by default. And now it is on animation start by default. Now I know what EA have done here. They've put this on animation start to try and reduce the delay between passing. This can mess you up a little bit. It can mess you up. And so for that matter alone, I actually go on late. Just because if there's any delay in the gameplay, late gives you the best opportunity to turn a pass around where you didn't really want it to go, and you can switch it at the last second. Animation start is what used to be called early. I used to love this, but with how delayed gameplay generally speaking is, even though EA have been saying that delay is gone, I don't think this is really a good idea, because this is if you're able to ticky-tack a pass really fast, you know, your 4-1, 2-on-2 narrow counter-attack, that's what you want on animation start, right? If you're playing really fast, but if you want to slow down a little bit, late is the best. And to be fair, this game isn't super fast, so late is probably the best. Precision pass sensitivity, you don't need to worry about this, right? You don't need to worry about this. And I've got everything else on assisted, and then lob through pass on semi, same with through pass assistance, of course, as well. Incisive plus is broken again this year, so have this on semi. You certainly don't want it on manual, I can promise you that. Now for defending, another thing that is very contentious, we're going to talk about it shortly. Clearance assistance, whatever you kind of want there. You've got directional, classic, doesn't really matter. Defending itself, this is a big one. This is a very big one. A lot of people like to have this on advanced. This is really good for Bruiser Plus. Really good for Bruiser Plus. But in my experience, defending is difficult this year, and tactical defending is actually easier to defend with. There's not as much assistance, not as much AI help on this game for defending. And I feel like with tactical, it's just a little bit more difficult, right? Of course, you do get to have the Bruiser Plus kind of benefit, and that is really good, to be fair. But in my opinion, tactical defending wins out this year. And yeah, Bruiser Plus is still very good, but I don't think you need to worry too much about having this on advanced, just because I don't think it makes the biggest difference in the world. So keep it on tactical, in my opinion. Professional fouls, definitely keep this on, as you can save yourself quite a lot by having this on. Of course, you might get a few red cards, but professional fouls are really good. I'm glad EA brought this in. It's a bit ratty, a bit scummy, but make sure you keep that on. Pass block assistance, you want this on as well, right? You definitely want that on. Switching is another one where people kind of get confused. And for the most part, you want to stay traditional here. You want this on air balls. You certainly don't want it on manual. And you certainly don't want it on only air balls. Certainly not automatic either. There's a lot to learn here. But auto switching is good on this game, in my experience. Not really the greatest right stick switching still. They can't get that right. But air balls and loose balls and crosses, keep that on that. Auto switching move assistance, keep that on none, please. Right stick switching, you've got player rotation, which is terrible. Adaptive, which is terrible. Classic is the only thing you want there. Specifically, adaptive is absolutely awful, guys. Do not put it on adaptive. Player relative for right stick switching reference, that's fine. Sensitivity is up to you. I like to have this on 7 or 8 in my experience, but 6 is what it defaults at. I would not have it on 6. I would push it up just a little bit. Maybe 7, maybe 8. Next, player switching, classic again. You do not want to be doing any of this silly stuff. Keep it on classic, trust me. Reaction time calibration, I actually don't know what this is, but keep that off. Reaction time calibration sensitivity, keep that off. Another big one, this is a really big one actually. One of the most important things to have on FC26 is player lock. Player locks on this game are the biggest skill gap, I would say, on the game right now. Because of no time finishing, player locks really are important. If you haven't learned that yet, please do. Simplified skill moves, absolutely not. And goalkeepers doesn't matter either. Definitely have analog sprint off and trigger effect. Please have them off. I also play without vibration on, but that's a setting on my PlayStation. Have that off, guys. Have that off. There's no need for vibration on FIFA. There's no need for it. And guys, now it's time to move over to camera. And this one is, again, somewhat personal preference, but it defaults on this. And please do not have this on. Do not have this stuff on here. Go back to your original. And my original is telebroadcast, and I keep it on that alone. Now, power shot zoom is another thing where last year I would have had this off, but now there's no point having this off because you can't time your shots anymore. So you might as well have it on, to be honest. But the big thing here is, guys, turn this off. It doesn't look nice. It does not look good at all. And in my personal opinion, I prefer telebroadcast to anything else. I also don't really change this. I mean, I do a little bit. I put the height a bit lower and the zoom a bit higher, but generally speaking, it doesn't matter, right? It's just personal preference again. But yeah, I have that on 8 and 12. Obviously, you don't need to worry about any of this stuff either. But those are the camera settings. We've gone through the controller settings. Let me go through visual as well. Doesn't really matter. Contextual on the connection monitoring is good. Kind of want to have your controller on the screen, especially if you want to go look back on your gameplay. Score clock you want on. Don't really need to have this on. I think it's cool. I think it's a bit more immersive. And in scrolling lineups, I've got that off because that comes on the bottom of the screen. You don't need that. Hypermotion insights, once again, more immersive in my opinion. Measurement system, I don't even know what the hell that does. Tactical chalkboard, you definitely want to have this on because in some instances you can't see the player that's making the run, and this can help you in that regard. And then also, I believe there's a setting coming where, yeah, here you go, the UT objective gameplay notification. Make sure you keep this on. When this comes, this is going to be awesome, but it's going to tell you what objectives you need to do in game, or it's going to tell you when an objective is done. Playstyle icons now on as well is really good. You can have it, as you can see, on the bottom of the screen there, where your player is with the stamina, but also, I believe in indicators, I like to have it on this, by the way, enabled overhead info. I think that's really important so you can see the name of the player above their head. There is a playstyle change on this game, and I know last year people hated this because it gave you a bit of lag. This is really good now because not only does it show your playstyle plus when you're running through, or you've got rapid plus, or you're taking a finesse shot, or your technical plus dribbling, it also shows it for the opponent as well, which is really nice. It's really nice. Make sure you have this on as well. Next, player switch indicator so you can actually see where you're switching. But those guys are all of my settings. That's all you need on this game. Those are the best. Of course, there's a few contentious points in there. If you prefer precision, I understand that. but make sure you follow everything else as they are the absolute best. Player lock being the most important thing on this game right now. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, send us a video. But guys, that's going to be it from me for now, so take care.